Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here at Mad World Tarot. And it's a lovely rainy afternoon as I'm doing this reading. It's a chill in the air, an autumnal feel to things. I've got Fluffy tucked up on a chair next to me, covered in a blankie. So definitely something has changed. And changes in the air, strange energies around, strange energy on Twitter, and in particular on an account that some of you may be very familiar with, and that would be somebody who goes by the name of Myra on Twitter. And I have to be very careful what I say in this reading. I always have to be very careful, but I might have to be extra cryptic today. We'll see how things go. But Myra has been very triggered by an article in the Huffington Post, and the article starts off with the Kate Middleton conspiracy theories need to stop, which sounds good. It sounds like, yes, let's give the poor woman her privacy. She's going through a tough time. But then it veers in a completely different direction and reminds us in quite gruesome detail of all the vitriol, and let me quote, the racist vitriol that myriad tabloids directed towards the Duchess, meaning Meghan Markle. Okay, it starts off with a sympathy play for Catherine and then heads off to remind us how Meghan suffered at the hands of the vicious British press and how she sued and won, and how has been also sued and won. And Myra seems to be very triggered by this and has really pumped out some quite alarming tweets, shall we just say. Myra, for those of you who don't know, is somebody who almost you could describe as an alter ego for the Duchess. Very adjacent, very close, so close that the two, and I'm choosing my words carefully, might almost be indistinguishable, shall we just say. So I'm going to have a look at this. Our theme of the day is the Kate hate, as I'm calling it. Don't like calling her Kate, but the Kate hate. And why? Because very scary. It's very much about, well, Kate, as she's called online here, deserves this. It's karma for all the viciousness and the damage that was done to poor Meghan Markle when she was a working royal and she was driven almost to off herself. And so what goes around comes around, and to quote one example, and as I say, they were just being pumped out on this particular account. You all didn't give a shit when it was happening to Meghan, and now it's happening to her, and good, it's karma, basically. There's a lot that's pretty nasty. I don't want to rake it over here, but it seems to be almost escalating, and it's worrying. It's worrying to the extent that I have the Tarot of the Abyss on the tarot table. I'm going to do a Celtic cross, and I'm going to look at how Meghan feels about the situation around Catherine, the wall of silence around her, because the triggering aspect of this Huffington Post article for Myra seems to be that Catherine has this wall of silence around her. The press are not saying if they know, and a lot of press are coming out and saying they don't know. Some, like Tom Bower, claiming they do. The royal family, absolutely silent about whatever is going on. So silent that it seems as if Harry hasn't been informed, and therefore Meghan also doesn't know. And this seems to be, in my inexpert opinion, the trigger that is causing Myra to have a bit of a mental health moment. And of course that is my inexpert opinion, but it's a little bit scary. And so I'm going to have a look at this and how Meghan might be feeling about the Catherine situation, and how protected she is, and how silent everyone is, and how sympathetic people generally are towards her and leave the poor woman alone, and she deserves her peace and let her heal. Whereas Meghan, according to Myra, was never allowed a moment's peace or privacy, and was driven, as I say, almost to extremis, according to the Oprah interview and whatever else. So that's what we're doing today. And Celtic Cross coming up, I will explain it, or I'm trying to be as careful with my words as I possibly can, which is why I need to remind you that this is tarot for fun and entertainment, and it is all my opinion, and it is all speculation, and I just read energy here. And of course there is a disclaimer in the box below. So Tarot of the Abyss, we're going to look at it from Megan's point of view, and how does she feel about this situation. Her sister-in-law is currently in very seriously ill. I get from the cards when I read them, you would expect some sympathy, some compassion, something of an outreach, and all of that, but not when it comes to this Myra person or persona on social media. It's interesting. Scary, in my opinion. Scary, which is why I'm reading on it. I have the Six of Swords in reverse as our underlying energy of this Celtic Cross, and this energy came up for me yesterday as well when I was trying to see whether Megan had actually gone up Powder Mountain for a little skiing holiday. Same energy. Six of Swords in reverse is somebody who is very stuck in a situation, a mental conflict, mental turmoil, can't escape it, can't move on from it, can't put it behind them. That is Six of Swords in reverse. She cannot get over her sense of grievance about what happened when she was a working royal for those 72 days. Way back when. Can't let it go. Can't get over the fact that Catherine didn't take her shopping in the limo when allegedly Megan had staged cameras around to pap the two of them arm in arm. All of that stuff, sharing the lip gloss, the rest of it. We know all those ancient grievances, and there they are, Six of Swords in reverse. In my energy reading that I'm doing here, my opinion, there it is. So situation that Megan finds herself in right now with regard to Catherine's health situation. The Two of Pentacles as a card of balance, equilibrium. And as I say, for me, in my amateur estimation, what was being pumped out on that particular account was pretty unbalanced. And so a situation is quite interesting because she's talking there, whoever Myra is, she is talking about karma and what goes around comes around, and it's Catherine's turn to suffer just as Megan suffered all those years ago. That is the Two of Pentacles. It's about evening a situation out, really. So double energy there for me. The karma thing, that's how Megan sees it, and the own struggle to maintain some level of equilibrium. And I'm not an expert in mental health or mental disorders or anything like that, but as I say, it bothered me so much. I really didn't want to read on this today, but it has bothered me so much since I stumbled on this that I feel called to read on it and make it our theme today. This mental turmoil that is coming through for me as an energy reader, that is telling me that this is some battle that's going on to maintain a grip on reality at this point. That is my speculation. So what is the challenge for Megan right now with all of this? We've got the Queen of Cups, which is emotional control. King and Queen of Cups are about emotional mastery, maintaining your composure in when the emotions are running high. That's the first thing with the Queen of Cups. There are a lot of things that this card is telling me. The second thing with the Queen of Cups is, of course, she is normally very empathetic, very supportive, very kind, a shoulder you can cry on, the Queen of Cups. And as I said at the very start of this reading, it would really be a good gesture. It would, I think, go a long way to healing this whole situation in the royal family, which clearly comes down to these two women who can't stand each other, who fell out way back when. There's lots of blame being flung around, mostly from one side, in fact entirely from one side, Meghan's side. But really this whole thing needs to be resolved, and it could be resolved in this critical moment for the Princess of Wales if Meghan at least just said something kind and said, you know, that the racist thing was never intended, it wasn't her. She could have said that, it wasn't Catherine. She could have said, I wish her well. She was always kind and supportive of me, and I wish her well. It would go down so well. But instead of that, that is the challenge. And of course, the other thing with that card is the Lady Di, the Princess Diana energy. Who gets to be the Queen of Cups? Who is the Queen of Hearts? Meghan thought she was going to sail in and grab that title, and Catherine was just going to be this dull little waity-catey person. But instead, all of the sympathy has gone towards the Princess of Wales, and Meghan has found herself cast as the villain in this little morality tale. So what's at the root of all of this? This struggle for health and equilibrium. We have the Ten of Swords. That is the disaster that Megxit has been. Ruined reputation, complete failure. They've reached the end of their little adventure in America when it comes to making money, when it comes to being a brand that's successful. They are now absolutely toxic. There is a subject of a lot of ridicule, also of disdain, contempt. A lot of people are seeing through them. That Ten of Swords, in this Tarot of the Abyss isn't nearly vicious enough for me as a reader. And but anyway, it is what it is, and Ten of Swords is what it is. It's one of the worst cards in the tarot. It's the end, it's failure, it's destruction, oblivion. And that is what has happened to Meghan. Unexpectedly, from her point of view, she thought that she was the one who would triumph. She was the one who was so whip smart and so beautiful and so sexy and so modern, and everybody would adore her and fall at her feet. Didn't work out that way. So what's her goal right now? And her goal is the Four of Swords. She needs to heal. She needs to recover from this. She needs to move on from the Three of Swords, which precedes the Four of Swords, which is the card of heartbreak. That's the Martha Stewart energy coming through, which I need to read on. The Markle Stewart energy, her rebranding. She needs to recover from the disappointment, the devastation, the heartbreak of the Three of Swords, and heal. She's not focused on healing the relationship with the Princess of Wales. Not according to this energy that I'm reading, of course, and interpreting. She is focused on her own healing, her own devastation, her own pain, because that is all she can see, and that is Myra on X. All that Myra can see is the anguish, allegedly, that Meghan Markle went through when she was in the royal family, and the British tabloids were going at her in this racist vitriol that the Huffington Post references. It's not my personal opinion, it's what the Huffington Post is saying about it. Past energy. Just tell us about the past, what's been going on in the past. We have the Fool in reverse. That is inability to start over, start afresh. And of course, they went off to America. Well, Meghan led the way there. The charge to America, it's back to California, to the lawyers and the agents and the managers and the Tyler Perrys and the Oprahs and the Ellens and the Clintons and the Obamas and everybody else that was all waiting to receive them. And it turned out to be a fool's mission, really. That Fool in reverse. They were going to rebrand themselves, they were going to start over, and it was all going to be marvelous. But instead it turned out to be a huge disaster. Ten of Swords, as the tarot is telling me. And they really weren't able to start afresh over there. They took, and this is my opinion, they took their own toxicity with them. And that's always the thing with when you're going through a bad moment in your life, and maybe you think, oh, well, I'm just going to move and leave it all behind me, and off I go, pack my suitcase and walk away from it all. Sometimes you can, but sometimes you can't. You take that toxicity with you, and we see it with the Six of Swords, which is in reverse as our underlying energy. The Six of Swords is the international travel card, going away. But in this case, they might have thought that they were going to leave their troubles behind them. They took their troubles with them because their troubles are in their own, hardwired into their own personalities. That is my opinion. What's going to happen next with this Kate-hate thing, this situation that for me is really escalating in a rather scary way? What is going to happen with it? And we have the King of Wands in reverse. It might cost some sort of deal. Upright, for me, this is directors, film type people, agents, managers, William Morris, Endeavour, PR type people, those kinds of people. And it's in reverse. This is a big no from somebody powerful. That somebody powerful might just decide they've had enough. And there's a lot of speculation that Netflix is cutting them loose, that the William Morris Endeavour agency is cutting them loose. There is that energy for me and that King of Wands in reverse, that somebody in the entertainment industry is going to cut her loose and just decide it's too toxic. I don't like being associated with a brand whose supporters are spreading the most vicious rumours, which we won't go into here again, but appalling rumours, including photoshopping some appalling images, which I have seen as well. Truly horrifying, particularly when you think that there are children involved in this situation who might find those images online. And it is truly horrifying. So I think that it's going to cost her some support in important places, influential places in the entertainment industry, and also in terms of those deals, those brand deals that she's been desperately trying to manifest to no avail so far. How does she view herself, Megan, in this narrative? Because we're trying to look into her mind, and we have the wise owl, the wise one, which is the wise owl, me trying to read upside down. You can see it's been a long day. That is the Hierophant in regular Rider-Waite Tarot. Normally it's the Pope, the Hierophant, the High Priest, the teacher, the person, the guru, the guide, the person who has all the knowledge and wisdom, who's tapped into the divine, the conduit between the divine and the earthly realms. It's also the royal family. I always read the Hierophant as a royal family card in these tarot readings, these royal readings. It's the Taurus card. The late Queen, of course, was famously a Taurus, and the Hierophant is very much the royal family in the role that it plays in the world and in our interaction between the earthly powers and the divine powers. So it's in reverse. She feels wronged by the royal family, cast out by them, not welcome by them. She was going to modernize, of course, and tell them how to monetize themselves and sell tickets to things like Trooping the Colour, state banquets. You could raffle tickets, I suppose, and the highest bidder would win an evening with the Queen. That kind of thing. Apparently, I'm being snarky about the raffle, but Trooping the Colour, truly, I have heard, royal reporters and people like that say that that is the kind of suggestion she was making. Can't believe I'm not being paid for this, she said when she was glad handing the crowds at one of those walkabouts. I don't know if it was in Australia or South Africa, but anyway, when the crowds were queued to meet her, wow, we should sell tickets, we should monetize this, and I should be paid a handsome salary. Never mind free accommodation, free trips overseas, free clothes, lots of time off, never mind all of that, and endless fame and jewels and stuff. Not good enough. Cast out by the royal family. She sees herself as the victim of this, the one who's been wronged. What pressure is she under right now? The Queen of Cups for me is pressure already. What pressure do we have? We've got the Page of Swords in reverse. That's all the nastiness that's around on social media at the moment that I keep referring to in this reading, that is extremely troubling. It's also criticism of her online, which she cannot stop. She can try and dox people, she can try and shut people down, she can try and send her flying monkeys after them, and they shut one down and 25 more pop up, because now it's become a thing. And a lot of people are now aware of this archetypal story who weren't necessarily at the start of it all. Some of them have been around since day one. I was around from about day 2.5. Some people have just only recently realized what's going on, and that's what the apocalypse is all about, the Great Awakening, the lifting of the veil. It takes some time for everybody's eyes to be opened and for everybody to see what's really going on. This is the great story, and this is why I read relentlessly on this royal story, because for me it is archetypal, it is lifting the veil. We are seeing who the puppet masters are and how things work, like PR and celebrity and leadership and all the rest of it. We see, and where you stand in the story for me is critical in terms of where you stand in your own life and in the world. And she's getting blowback on social media now. In the beginning, she was the one who was all powerful. She could play the race card. The internet seemingly was scrubbed of a lot of stuff that was not necessarily that flattering towards her. Some video as well, things going around. And now it's a lot more difficult for her to deal with social media, because so many more people are on it and aware of it. The internet sleuths and all the rest of it, people see now, and she's finding it very difficult to manage. Her hopes and fears. Her hopes and fears are the Temperance card in reverse. This was the energy that I was picking up on when I decided to do this reading, even though it has left me feeling a bit ick. It's that kind of out of control energy. I think that she fears that she can't control this anymore. It's exactly what I was saying with this pressure card, the Page of Swords in reverse. This Temperance card in reverse, the tide going against her, and she being perceived as the one who's the troublemaker, the great disruptor in this story. She's tried over and over, and Myra on X is telling us over and over that it was Catherine who made Meghan cry at that dress fitting. It all goes back to two things: that dress fitting and the refusing to give Meghan a lift to go shopping. Can you believe it? But it's there. She is worried that she's going to be perceived as the villain in this piece. Because the Temperance card traditionally is an angel. When it's in reverse, it's the devil. The two cards sit side by side in the major arcana, the devil and the Temperance card. She is worried that she is going to be the villain in this narrative. That is the common thread in this reading that I am doing. Outcome for her of this Kate hate. What's it going to do to her ultimately? And we got the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands for me is a Harry energy. You can look at him. Far too much hair now. Most of the hair has gone by now after how many years of marriage. 6, is it? But it's a Harry energy. It's a very interesting depiction of the Knight of Wands. There's 2 little figures there. One's in the palm of his hand. There's a woman in the background, and the Knight of Wands is looking at this. And I'm getting a very odd energy through this Knight of Wands. I'm not getting normal Knight of Wands energy. Normal Knight of Wands energy, just to say, it does tie into this. Normal Knight of Wands energy is someone who's an adventurer, someone who sets off for exotic climbs and goes and has exciting adventures. It could be that this toxicity that's going on could send this one, as she herself called him, could send this one off to distant climes, to Africa. Wands, very much hot countries, lots of sun, lots of sand. It could send this person who's looking at these 2 little figures there, it could send him off away. It's moving, it's leaving, it's traveling, the Knight of Wands. It's normally not a terrible card, but the energy that's coming through here for me is quite interesting because it's coming through as pretty toxic. And it's coming through as toxic because it's sitting on top of the 6 of Swords, which is in reverse, of this mess that Megxit has become. They thought they were leaving their troubles behind. They took their troubles with them. It's telling me that over and over with the 10 of Swords there and the 4 of Swords and the Fool in reverse. We've got the King of Wands in reverse here, that there might be some sort of block on the entertainment front. And this Knight of Wands might just decide he's had enough and he's going to pack a suitcase and off he goes. And that's the end of the brand. That is what's coming through for me in this reading. The fact that we have 2 cards of balance, the 2 of Pentacles and the Temperance card in this reading, also very interesting, because it feels for me as a reader, and I am just reading energy here, as I say over and over and over for legal reasons, is that we're reaching some sort of tipping point. And the tipping point is because we've hit 10 of Swords here. We're struggling to maintain equilibrium here. We haven't connected emotionally in the right way. We haven't taken the moment to actually express the right level of compassion and support. And there is healing that needs to be done. But how is that healing going to happen if there isn't awareness? And it could tip over into something quite disturbed with that Temperance card there in reverse. That's my feeling on this matter. And if it does, he's just going to go, if he hasn't already gone. And that is the reading, and thank you for watching. On to the next one.